Algeria, Model United Nations delegates, welcome in training session number 2. My name is Sid and I am Under Secretary General Delegates Affairs in the second edition of AlgeriaMUN. I really hope that by now everything is going well with the research, with the preparation, with your dais, with your committee and so on, and I really hope that everything went well with your first challenge, which was writing the position paper. I mean, I know that it was kind of challenging for you to write about completely another topic by the name of completely another country. Maybe that's something you are not used to do, especially if it's your first experience in MUN. And congratulations for making that done and for getting that done. And now it is the time to move forward to our next steps in order to make sure that you are ready, you are prepared for the second edition of AlgeriaMUN, because the position paper is just a beginning, it's just a start, it's just a warm-up, because what is coming is gonna be way more fun, way more interesting, and you will enjoy it a lot. In today's training session and today's agenda, we have actually only one thing, but this thing is extremely important. Maybe one of the most important, let's say it's the most important thing in an MUN conference, because if you don't get it right, if you don't understand it properly, you will be that lost, confused delegate during the conference, and that's exactly the thing that we want to avoid. We want to avoid those lost, confused delegates who have absolutely no idea what's going on, and because this will affect your experience in MUN and this will affect the conference in general. So make sure to pay attention, to focus, and you can watch this training session more than once. You can at the same time read the guides. That's something I really recommend. Read the guides at the same time and take notes and write down any question you have, and you can ask me at any point of time and I will be more than glad to answer. This thing that we will be discussing today is rules of procedures. Rules of procedures are basically everything about the conference, how the conference is going to go, what kind of debates we will have, how to move from a debate to a debate, how to motion, what kind of motions do we have, what kinds of points do we have, and everything, how to start the debate. So understanding rules of procedures will make you understand MUN, and you cannot do well in any MUN conference if you don't understand rules of procedures. Before we start, I would just like to emphasize and remind you of two important points. Point number one, research. I know I've been saying this for too long, but the only reason why I've been saying it is because it's extremely important. From now, 35 days from now exactly, we will start, or we will launch the second edition of AlgeriaMUN. You have 35 days, use it properly. Make research about your country, about your committee, about your allies, about your enemies, about the past of your country, about every single thing. Make research, because that will put you in a very strong position during the conference. The second thing is role play. I would like just to remind you that during the conference, no personal opinions will be allowed. No personal opinion will be allowed. I don't know why I said it twice, because it's important, obviously. You have to represent the country. You have to speak by the name of the country, and the only way to do that is to know the culture of the country, the beliefs of the country, the previous actions of the country. So that's how role play would go with the research. And I would like to answer one of the questions that I've received a lot from a lot of delegates. The question is, are you allowed to use the previous actions that have been happening around the world during the conference? For example, what happened in Paris or in any other place in the world? The answer is yes, you can use them, and even if something will happen one day before the conference, you still can use it during the conference. Actually, please use them, because this will show how up-to-date you are and how prepared you are, and this will put you in a very strong position during the conference. Even if something happens exactly at the same time during the conference, you can use it. This will put you in a very strong position, and that's exactly what you want. All right, and now let's get started with the rules of procedures. As I said before, you can go grab a cup of water or make tea or make coffee, because this session is gonna be it can be kind of confusing, or yeah, it can be confusing, and you want to focus because you have to understand the details and all the details about rules of procedures. All right, perfect. So before going into rules of procedures, I'd like to explain something very important, which is what kind of debates we will be having during the conference. Meaning we have 4 days, what kind of debates we will be having during the conference. We will be having 3 exactly. The first one, something called speakers list. Speakers list is the thing or the debate that we will start with, where the speakers list will be open and every delegate will speak in this speakers list, will be added to the speakers list, and your speech will has to include a very general idea about the position of your country concerning the topic. It's gonna be 50, 60, 70 seconds where you will be speaking very general. Maybe you can speak about some previous actions your country has done. You can speak about a very, very general idea, but you have to state the position of your country towards the topic. And that's the point from a speakers list. The second debate, let me call it debate, that we will be having during the conference, called moderated caucus. Moderated caucus. In moderated caucus, we will be talking about the subtopics of the topic that we are discussing in your committee. For example, in the Security Council, there is the Yemeni crisis. This is a topic. In moderated caucus, we discuss the subtopics or the details about a topic. For example, the Yemeni crisis as a topic. A good subtopic can be the results of the Yemeni crisis, the responsibles of the Yemeni crisis, how the Yemeni crisis affected the region or the Middle East, who is responsible. Oh, I said that before. And you can use your mind, because it is up to delegates to come up with these subtopics. So it is a chance for you to bring the subtopic that would suit the position of your country and discuss it all together. And you can find infinite numbers of subtopics. And that's what makes MUN very fun. The second debate that we will be having is something called unmoderated caucus. So the first one is moderated caucus. The second one is unmoderated caucus. In unmoderated caucus, we won't be giving speeches, we won't be discussing subtopics, but what we will be doing is we will stand up from our chairs and we can move around and meet face to face and talk to each other and discuss more for a period of time. So yes, speakers list, moderated caucus, and moderated caucus. Speakers list is you will have a general idea or general opinion and you state the position of your country towards a topic. And moderated caucus, we talk about the subtopics, the details, we start digging into the details of the topic. And moderated caucus, we will just stand up and go around and talk to each other, and this will give us more room to discuss, to agree, to debate, and to form blocs, to form allies, and so on. Now the question is, how can we move from a debate to a debate? How can we move from a speakers list to moderated caucus? Or how can we move from speakers list to unmoderated caucus? Or how can we start speakers list from the beginning? All right, so there is a very, very famous sentence that the chair will be saying during the whole conference. You will hear it more than 1,000 times, which is, are there any points or motions on the floor? The chair will ask at any moment of time. Are there any points or motions on the floor? And here you can motion to move the debate from a debate to a debate. How? The first thing that the chair will say when you start the formal session is, are there any motions or points on the floor? And you have to start the speakers list because it's the first thing that you have to do. So you will say motion to open the speakers list or motion to set the speakers list, and you have to state speakers time. Motion to set the speakers list, speakers time 50 seconds. it has to be between 50 to 90 seconds. Motion to set speakers time, to set speakers list for speakers time 50 seconds. And then the chair will take that motion and the committee will vote. If it gets 50% plus 1, the motion will pass and you will start that debate. And the chair can accept more than one motion. For example, the delegate of Russia motioned to set the speakers list for speakers time 50 seconds. The delegate of Argentina motioned to set the speakers list for speakers time 90 seconds. And then the chair will start from the highest time and you start voting. The chair will say, the delegate of Argentina motion to set the speakers list for speakers time 90 seconds. All those in favor, please raise your placards. And you raise your placards. You need 50% plus 1, meaning half the committee and 1 extra. If you are 20, you need 11 people to vote for this. And if 50% plus 1 votes for it, this motion will pass and you will start the speakers list. The moment you start the speakers list, the chair will say, all those who want to be added to the speakers list, please raise your placards. And of course, everyone has to raise his or her placard because you want to be part of the speakers list, because that's the point why you are part of MUN, is to speak. So the chair will take random names: Argentina, Brazil, the USA, Algeria, Nigeria, and then one by one you will be speaking. Let's say after speaker 6, one second. If the chair took, let's say, only 14 speakers, on 14 countries, you can always write a note to the chair from Algeria to the chair: I would like to be added to the speakers list. And you give it to the clerk will take it to the chair, and the chair can add you. And cannot, I mean, it's up to him. But at the end of the day, you will all be a part of the speakers list. It's just a matter of when. After, let's say, 6 people or 6 countries have spoken in the speakers list, after like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the chair, of course, will open the floor for motions or points again. The chair will say, are there any points or motions on the floor? And every time the chair says this, any delegate can motion for anything. Here, you can motion to move the debate into moderated caucus, or unmoderated caucus. The moderated caucus, again, is talking about subtopics. Unmoderated caucus is just standing up and going around and discussing freely. Any delegate can say, yes, he or she raises the placard. The chair will give you the permission to speak. And you will say motion to move the debate or to suspend the debate. There are a lot of different ways to say it, and we are trying to make it very simple. You can say motion to suspend the debate or motion to move the debate into moderated caucus to discuss X subtopic, to discuss this for speakers time X 50 seconds, total time 20 minutes. Why do we have subtopic, speakers time, and total time? We have this because of course, moderated caucus, we have to discuss subtopic. You have to state subtopic. And you have to state speakers time. And you have to state total time. So when the total time finishes, after 20 minutes, we move back to the speakers list. That's why we have to state total time. But in speakers list, we don't state total time, we state only speakers time. Why? Because speakers list will not finish. When the speakers list finishes, will finish after 4 days when the conference ends. That's why in moderated caucus we state total time. In speakers list we don't state total time. Again, motion to move the debate to moderated caucus to discuss subtopic, speakers time 50 seconds, for example, total time 15 minutes, for example. Again, the chair will take several motions if there are any, and then you start the vote. 50% plus 1, the motion passes. This chair would say, we have started the moderated caucus discussing this subtopic, speakers time this, total time this. All those who are willing to speak, please raise your placards. You raise your placards, you will be added. And the same thing will happen, and then you will be talking about the subtopic. But you have to be to stay in the, and you have to, when the subtopic is has been entertained, you have to talk about the subtopic, and you cannot speak about topic in general, but you have to be specific in your speech and you talk about the subtopic. What is fun, what is interesting about this is you can motion for any subtopic you want, but it has to be related to the topic, of course. Here you can be very smart about it, and you can bring any subtopic you want, and of course, make sure to motion for the subtopic that suits the position of your country. For example, if you are discussing the Yemeni crisis and you are representing Syria, you don't want to bring the subtopic of discussing the refugees of the Yemeni crisis, because this will ruin your position, because Syria doesn't have a good position towards refugees. Just an example. And you can be smart, you can think, and you will understand what I mean if you give it more thought. Or if you don't motion for a moderated caucus, you motion for unmoderated caucus. But generally speaking, unmoderated caucus, you will motion for it starting from day 2, or starting from day 2 or at the end of day 2, because you cannot do it at the beginning, because there is no point from doing it. In most of cases, you do it starting from day 2, because the reason why we do unmoderated caucus is we have discussed a lot of things, and now we want to meet face to face and discuss. Forum allies, 6 of us discuss all together, forum blocks, things like this. What you say is motion to move the debate into unmoderated caucus for the topic. I mean, why you want to do this. For example, I want motion to move the debate into unmoderated caucus to forum blocks and allies, to write draft resolution, to discuss amendments, and there are a lot of ideas. But the general one and the common one is to forum blocks and allies. And then you state total time, but you don't state speaker's time. Why? Because we don't have speeches. No one will be speaking. You state only topic, which is the reason why you want to have an unmoderated caucus, and you state the total time. So when the 15 minutes, for example. So when 15 minutes is over, we move back to the speakers list. And we are like this. Speakers list, moderated caucus, speakers list, unmoderated caucus, speakers list, another unmoderated caucus, speakers list, moderated caucus. And we keep going around and around and around and around until we cover everything related to the topic, and we are ready to start writing draft resolutions. And when we start writing draft resolutions, we write them in unmoderated caucus, because it's the only way to do it. I mean, we meet, all of us, let's say our bloc or our allies, the 10 of us, for example, and we start writing it together. And that's how it is done. So we have moderated caucus, unmoderated caucus, and speakers list, and we keep going around and around and around. One point that I forgot to state, which is, it should be at the beginning. Before we start the speakers list, we have something called attendance, or what is it called? A roll call, yeah, which is a roll call, which is very important, which is taking the attendance kind of. So the chair will will start the roll call by stating, saying the name of the countries, and every country has the right has 2 options, whether to say present or to say present and voting. The chair would say Algeria, and you can say present or present and voting. What is the difference? Present at the end, when we have draft resolutions and we move to the voting procedures, if you say present at the beginning, at the end when you can vote, you can whether say yes, no, or abstain. But if you say present and voting at the beginning, at the end you have to whether say yes or no. You cannot abstain. That's the difference. And you would say present and voting when you want to show that your country has a strong position towards the topic. For example, we are talking about the Yemeni crisis and you are representing Yemen, or you are representing a very powerful country and you want to state you want to strengthen your position from the beginning. But it's not that important at the end of the day, but you have to understand it because that's how it works in the United Nations. So present and voting. And this is before the rules of, this is before the speakers list. This is at the beginning, the first thing to be done, roll call. And then speakers list, we move the moderated caucus, unmoderated caucus, speakers list, moderated caucus, and you can motion to anyone you want, and we keep going in this circle. If, for example, you motion for something, for example, we have 3 motions to move the debate to moderated caucuses, and none of these motions got 50% plus 1, you can just go back to the speakers list, and that's fine. One important point, the chair can cancel any motion he or she wants. It has the authority to do that, and can force any motion to be entertained. It has all the power to do that. Or can change any motion he or she wants. For example, you motion for a moderated caucus, speakers list, speakers time, 2 minutes. That's too much. The chair can say, and you vote 50% plus 1, all is good. The chair can say, the time is too much, we will make it 60 seconds. And you have nothing to do about it. You have to accept it. The chair has all the power to do that. And we keep doing this again and again and again and again until at the end we are done with writing the draft resolutions and we are ready to move forward to the upcoming stages. There is another motion to motion for. For example, motion to move the debate to voting procedures, meaning we're done, we want to vote for the draft resolution. Now we speak about the draft resolution, how to prepare it, what is draft resolution, and how can we write one. In draft resolution, we have 2 kinds of delegates. We have sponsors and signatories. The sponsors are the people who will write the draft resolution, and anyone can write a draft resolution. And we call them sponsors. They cannot be more than 4 people who write a draft resolution, and we can have more than 1 draft resolution. And the signatories are the people who sign the draft resolution. It doesn't mean that they agree with the draft resolution, but it just means that they are interested and they want to see the draft resolution being discussed. Doesn't mean that they agree with it. It just means that they want to see it debated. And yes, so we have sponsors and we have signatories. You can be more than one. You can sign more than 1 draft resolution, but you cannot be more sponsored to more than 1 draft resolution. Let's say block A prepared the draft resolution. We call it 1.1, and block B prepared another draft resolution called 1.2. Perfect. And then you have submitted it to the chair, the dais, they reviewed it, all is good, we are ready to move forward. The next step that we do after submitting the draft resolution, which is gonna be in day 4 or at the end of day 3, there is something called amendments. What are amendments? So let's say we have submitted both of the draft resolutions. This is just an example. And I represent Algeria, all right? And there is draft resolution A, I 100% agree with it. I'm a signatory, I signed it, but I'm not a sponsor. I really agree with it, 99%. There is only 1 point I don't agree in the draft resolution, because in draft resolution it is actions. Do this, do this, do this, do this. This is the draft resolution. And you can check it online, the resolutions that are taken by the UN. I represent Algeria and I agree 90%. Only 1 point I don't agree with. And I want them to remove it. If they agree to remove it, I will give them my vote. There are 2 kinds of amendments, friendly and unfriendly. The friendly one is I go to the sponsors, the people who wrote it, and I tell them, okay, I agree with you, but I would like you to remove this point number 8. If they agree to remove it, all the sponsors, it's going to be a friendly amendment and it will be removed and that's it. If the sponsors said, or at least one of them said, no, we cannot remove that point, we are sorry. What I can do is I write an unfriendly amendment, a note to the chair, and say from Algeria to the chair, I would like to remove point number 9 in the draft resolution 1.1. And we will debate. 3 people who agree to remove this point and 3 people who don't agree, and then we vote 2/3. If we get 2/3 of the people vote to remove it, it will be removed, and it is called unfriendly amendment. And I can also ask to add another point, or change a point, or remove a point. And this is the amendments, and it will take time because a lot of people will have a lot of amendments, a lot of suggestions. Some people will want to remove a point, some people will want to add another point, and so on. At the end, when everything is over, all the amendments are over, we are done, the draft resolutions are ready, someone has to motion to move to the voting procedures. Voting procedures, we sit down, everyone will have a copy of the draft resolution, or even if you have 3, 4, 1,000 draft resolution, or only one, you will have the copy, and we will vote. We will have it on screen, we will have the paper, the copy, and the chair will say, all those in favor of draft resolution 1.1, raise your placards. You raise your placards. All those who want to abstain, raise your placards. You raise your placards. All those against the draft resolution, raise your placards. You raise your placards. It needs 2/3 the majority voting to take that draft resolution. If 2/3 of the people vote for it, it will be taken as the official resolution, and our work is done, and we are ready to go. And that's the whole point from everything, is to reach a resolution at the end. What will happen if both draft resolutions, for example, don't get 2/3 the majority? Well, what will happen is we won't have a resolution, and all our effort, all our work that has been done during the 4 days will be a waste, because 4 days of debate, 4 days of negotiation, 4 days of trying to find a middle ground has failed, and we don't have a resolution, and we just leave without a resolution, and that's something we want to avoid. That's something we want to avoid. That's something we want to avoid. So that's why we want to promote the culture of trying to find the middle ground, trying to find the common interest, trying to work together. But at the same time, you have to play the role. There is absolutely no way you agree with that point, you don't agree with that point. But we want to promote the culture of communication, of debate, of active listening, so we can find common ground and work together. This is, let's say, mostly it. Check the guides one more time. You will find more motions. There are more motions. Check them for more ideas. I just stated the most important ones. Check the guides for more motions, and check the guides to know more about the points that I will be speaking about very, very briefly in a bit. We have motions, we have points. Check them in the guides. There is a guide called AlgeriaMUN Delegate Manual 2015. It has very detailed information about the motions, about the points, and you can have a better idea about it. Motions, on the other hand, are something else. For example, one of the points that we have called point of personal privilege. You can just state it at any moment of time. Point of personal privilege. For example, you want to go to the bathroom. For example, the speaker is speaking a very low voice, and you want him or her to raise his or her voice. And maybe the room is very hot, you want to open the window. So you don't go and open the window, you say point of personal privilege, and then the chair will give you the permission to speak. You can say, can I be excused to go to the bathroom? Or we cannot hear the delegate of Argentina, can that delegate raise his or her voice, please? Anything that is personal, everything that is personal, you can do it, you can say it, you can state this point, it is for you, to serve you. And we have a couple of other points that I recommend to check them on the guides. One of the other points is a point of inquiry, and you use it if, for example, you forgot one of the motions. You forgot how to motion for a moderated caucus, for example. You raise it, a point of inquiry. The chair will give you permission to speak. You will say, can you tell me how to motion for a moderated caucus? And the chair will tell you. It's there for you to help you to make your life easy. And again, there are other points that can be used. Please check them in the guides. They will help you a lot. And you have to understand them, because we want to avoid lost and confused delegates. All right. Other than that, I think we are done. This is the rules of procedures, motions, points. Oh, we have another thing, which is yields. What are the yields? Okay, in speakers list, let's say I'm speaking and we have 50 seconds. Speakers list, speakers time, 50 seconds. I am speaking. In 35 seconds, my speech is over, I'm done. I'm left with 35, 45, yeah, with 15 seconds. I'm left with 15 seconds. What can I do with these 15 seconds? I have 3 yields. I can yield my time to the chair, meaning I give up on my time, I give it back to the chair, and I sit down. Nothing happened, the 15 seconds will go for waste. What I can do is yield the time to open the floor for points of information, open the floor for questions. And be careful, when you do that, you have to be well aware and knowledgeable about the topic. You don't want to open the floor for points of information and you will be asked a question and you don't know how to answer. This is very important. You have to make sure that you know what you're doing, and when you open the floor for points of information, you have to make sure that you can provide an answer, or you can find a way to escape where you put yourself into. The third one is you yield your time to another delegate. I yield my time to the delegate of Venezuela, and the delegate of Venezuela, 50 seconds. He or she will have extra 15 seconds when his or her turn comes. 3 yields: points of information, yield to another delegate, or yield to the chair. Mainly this is it: yields, points, motions, speakers list, moderated caucus, unmoderated caucus, and then voting procedures. As simple as that. Check the guides again. You can read more online, you can find a lot of guides, but they might be kind of different in the details, or the way they motion, or in the details, but the concept is there. You can search online, you can find a lot of useful information. Ask questions, ask your dais, ask me, ask anyone, check the guides, make research, play the role, and let's meet in the next training session, which is gonna be mainly this is all what you need to know. The next training session is gonna be more pieces of advice, techniques, how to be a best delegate, what can you do to increase the chance of you winning the best delegate award, and things like this. But this is the things that you need to know. We have done 2 training sessions. We covered extremely important points, and the guys are there to help you. Ask questions. We are here to serve you, because in 35 days it is gonna be a huge battle, huge debate, and we want it to be the best experience for you all.